Datsun 510 is truly an iconic piece of Japanese automotive history. It was never really intended as a sports car. It had the image of being fuel efficient and more of a commuter, sort of a car for people to own. But what it did have was a lightweight chassis, independent rear suspension, which is perfect for the canyons. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Eric.
I got some great news for you, Chris. We got that motor fired up.
Oh, that's great. How's it sound?
Man, it sounds pretty incredible. Chris contacted us and was inquiring about a Datsun 510 restoration, and I had just so happened to pick that car up about a month ago. And it was definitely torn apart. Somebody had tried their own hand at maybe aspiring to restore the car. So we started on the chassis restoration. And we spent a lot of time tracking down parts, and we did a whole lot of mock-up for the motor that we're using in that car.
So what else is left on the build?
We're gonna do some sound deadening in the car to try to cut down on some of that interior noise for you. But in addition to that, we still have the headliner to do. Once we cut the car into bare metal, then I sent it over to Mauricio. Mauricio did an amazing job on the metalwork and an absolutely fantastic job on the paint. Regarding the alignment, what kind of driving are you gonna be doing with the car?
Questions my insurance company doesn't want me to answer. I want to be able to, take it out for a Sunday stroll and stretch its legs a little bit. Probably take it to a couple of autocrosses, test and tunes, just some high-performance driving event type stuff. I'm looking to have fun with the car, not just let it sit in the garage, so it definitely needs to handle.
We'll get it taken care of for you. So one of the coolest parts about Chris's build is the motor itself. It's a Z24 bottom end from a Datsun 720 truck. We are doing a twin cam KA head in a 2,100-pound chassis. That thing should be crazy. You've seen plenty of pictures of the car, but man, you really got to see this thing in person to appreciate it. This particular Datsun 510 is a 1968, which is a one model year car, very rare. I'm really excited to get you behind the wheel too. We got to see what that motor's all about.
Excited, terrified, a little bit of everything, but it's gonna be awesome.
I'll get working on my end and we'll keep you posted.
All right, I appreciate it.
We're to the point now where next thing to do is alignment and interior. The fuel system has no leaks. The brakes are working.
Hub on the way.
Clutch is still good. The hydraulics seem to be pretty solid. We need to get that hood latch in, which unfortunately means pulling the grill off again. Wiring-wise, pretty well wrapped up, right? We got the majority of what we need. What else needs to be done?
All the lights, cooling fans, engine stuff, license plate lights, parking lights. Gauges work fine.
With the build quality and the aesthetics we've got under the hood, it could definitely be shown at a car show, but that's not what we built this car for. A car show is one thing, but I think the happy place for this car is going to be Canyon Road somewhere.
Yeah.
Being used how it's intended. We don't put this stuff on for show. I haven't opened it up yet, but it's going to be fun. We're excited about it.
It'll be special.
It's ready to go a couple of miles at least. Off to upholstery. We do some of our own interior restoration work here, but when it comes to things like, recovering the seats and headliners, we take that to the professionals.
So this is going to be the original backing and foam for this car, and we're going to strip it, put some new burlap, new foam. This has seen its day, I think. This is actually coconut husk that I use for that backing. Your old Volkswagens and BMWs will have this in it. So this is going to be the new burlap. This is a little bit better than coconut. So I put a light layer of glue down just to hold it in place. That's to ensure that it doesn't fly off when you're doing donuts. The Dacron helps the cover go on a little better, kind of makes it look a little more plush. Yeah, we really lucked out with this rosette pattern in the middle. They had to order those front buckets from Japan, and they couldn't for the back seats, so we just had to kind of emulate what they got. It's pretty spot on to the ones they got from Japan.
Sterling's got the seats reupholstered, so I'm gonna head down and check them out. Sterling. Seats, man.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I got the same rosette.
And it matches up perfectly to that back seat, so.
These turned out awesome, Sterling. I think it's a good compromise between really trying to emulate this seat and not going too far with having a million grommets back.
It's easy to get out of hand, so.
I'm very happy with the way the rear seat turned out. If you didn't know any better, you would think these were bought as a set with the fronts. So like we had discussed, I got this car in boxes.
Right.
And One box that went missing was the headliner bows. So these are from a Japanese market Bluebird coupe, but the bow count's the same, lengths are the same. So if you guys, fingers crossed, can
Yeah, I think we
can
can.
duplicate those. I don't know where else I'm gonna get
Yeah.
some from, so.
We'll help you out, man.
The bows for the headliner. It's a very important part of a headliner. So hopefully Sterling can make what we have work. This is what was left of the original headliner, so it's perforated material.
I don't like that one. It gives a perforated look, but
Right.
gives a little more structure. This stuff, you see the backing is kind of junk, to be honest.
Yeah, man, I think that'll be perfect.
Cool. It's gonna look hot, man.
Okay. I'm really happy with the progress so far on the upholstery. I'm just excited to get it back into the shop so Josh and I can finish up the rest.
So we've got black perforated vinyl, not perforated all the way through, which adds to integrity, but still has that look to it. These kind of give it that rigid shape once it's up in there. They might have given us the wrong pattern. The bows are actually too tall. So I think what we have is the same model of car, maybe different year or make for the pattern.
And it doesn't even go in at all, huh?
No, I mean, it's long everywhere.
There isn't no way that that's gonna stretch.
Hey, Eric. Sterling at the seat cover company. How's it going, man? Hey, I ran into a bit of a hiccup with this headliner. Yeah. No, I'm way off.
There isn't no way that that's gonna stretch.
Hey, Eric. Hey, I ran into a bit of a hiccup with this headliner. Yeah.
So I just got a call from Sterling. This can't be good news.
You know, I'm just a little wide on almost every single panel, and also these bows look like they're a little tall, so they're not swiveling like they should.
So the bows we provided to Sterling were actually from a Japanese market Bluebird coupe. We were hoping they would be the same as a 510.
There's no problem. I can actually just make it, and I think the best way to do it now is just to make it from scratch. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but no, we'll get it, man. I just thought I'd let you know.
So Sterling's going to have to fabricate custom bows to make this work.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Bye. Okay. Perfect. Okay, this one's gonna fit right, nice and snug. That fits just about perfect. We've got our side pull and tack, front to back pull and tack, a little bow adjustment, but it's looking pretty perfect. We're back to JDM Legends.
I'm a motorhead, I'm a car junkie. Like, I can't help myself. Every time I look at something, I'm like, oh, is that a good deal? I'm always looking to the next adventure.
Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Randy. I brought my Datsun 510 down today to see what I can get out of it.
So this is it.
This is the 510. I got this car last winter. It was already hit when I got it. I just got this car in a trade. I thought this thing was just super rad. You know, you don't see these around anymore.
510s in general, they're rare to me. And this one has a lot of potential.
I ordered a panel and it only goes up to the body line, so it covers just right here. It's kind of a project I can't take on myself, so kind of lost motivation.
As I'm looking over the quarter panel, it's not that bad, but it seems like there's certain areas it could be worse, but I mean, I'm up to it. I love challenges. So you turboed it, or that's how you got it?
I got this car already built. I don't really know much about it. It has a KA24 in it. I just threw injectors and got it tuned by RS Enthalpy. That's pretty much all I've done to it.
It's kind of neat that it's turbo, but it's not something I would be interested in, so I'll probably pull it out and do something different.
I'm not too much of a fan of the motor setup, though. That's my only concern. I'm not really into that. I'd rather just pull what it kind of came. Does the trunk open?
Yep, just yank.
Wow.
To be honest, for me, I just have to see how extensive the damage is behind the quarter panel.
It's pretty bad.
It's a good hit. So when you drive the car, does the car feel like it's kind of like...
Does it track weird?
Does it move weird, like to the right?
No, it doesn't pull at all.
Your suspension's sitting like this on this one's sitting like this.
Yeah, one's being pushed in.
Yeah, it's fixable, but do you want to invest the amount of time into it, you know? The reason I'm knocking it is once you hear it kind of solid, it means it's full of filler, but it sounds pretty good. How much were you wanting for the car?
I listed it for 55.
I was thinking, you know, in the ballpark between 3 and 35 for what the car is. I don't know if that's something you would take or entertain.
Well, the original car I paid for to trade for this was 49, so
49?
I wouldn't want to take too much from that. Originally, I was hoping to get rid of the car, but with the extensive damage and learning more knowledge about it, seeing how much work is going to be put in, I might be keeping it, you know, for a lifetime project. Just keep it as a garage queen and just drive it on the weekends or something, and eventually get to it.
We may not come to an agreement on the price, but that's okay, because that just keeps me chasing for something else. But thanks for coming.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Usually when we get a new car in here, you know, Josh and I take it out, we shake it down, but today I've got a new co-pilot.
This is so exciting. Oh,
You like that? It's 52 horses of fury right there.
wait, where's my safety belt? I stepped into an era when I sat in that seat.
This is the 1989 Nissan Pao.
I heard it was a 90.
Nope, it's an 89.
But they're obviously trying to capture a look because this is not what cars from the
Right.
89.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the car, you wouldn't think it was that new. There's a little Mini Cooper in it, there's a little Citroen in it, there's a little Fiat in it. People were looking for something that stood out and had that real cool vintage look to it, but, you know, it was new and modern and reliable. You want to feel that?
Now, why is it in the shop? You're fixing it for somebody.
The story behind this car is, the guy bought it from somewhere back east. Obviously, it's a Japanese import car. He ran into some drivability issues, and lo and behold, there just so happens to be a JDM specialist in town, so he brought it to us. What do you think about the inside of the car?
It is so fun. I feel like I'm inside of like a really cute little like old-fashioned Cuisinart refrigerator. Like I want to put on an apron and I want to get something out of my Frigidaire, but first I went to the store and bought my said goods in this vehicle. The more I'm riding in this car, the more I'm liking it, and I've got an idea. Well, when we get back to the shop, I'm pretty sure I want to drive this thing and get behind the wheel. I'm gonna get busy.
Okay. Before I get Naomi behind the wheel, we want to get it back to the shop and make sure that everything's running properly.
I want to take it out. That was super fun!
Do you like it?
Yes!
This 1989 Nissan Pao just landed here at our shop, and we're gonna take care of basic tune-up and some drivability issues he's having. But before we dive under the hood, Naomi's checking out, I guess, a bit of everything. And check it out, it's got a tailgate on it. Have a little tailgate party.
Ooh!
So this thing doesn't whack us in the head.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, and then the seat folds forward.
Ooh, I could put lots of stuff back here, too.
I don't know about lots of stuff, you could put some stuff.
I could fit a lot of stuff back there.
You notice these windows too? Check this out. But they just kind of pop out like that.
I like these little lights on the inside. Look, mood lighting. It just turned into date night back there. Look.
Well, when I get all the tune-up done, we'll have to drive it.
Okay, and then I can drive it.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Okay. What we've got here is our wideband air-fuel ratio meter, and what this does is it tells us the mixture of air to fuel. So if it's running rich, it'll tell us that. If it's running lean, it'll tell us that also. first thing we're going to do here is check the timing. We can tell the distributor's been replaced, and we just want to double check that it's right.
This thing's about 30 years old, so it's important that everything's adjusted properly on this engine.
The good thing about it is the important information we need is right here, and it's actually in English. We know that we need to be at about 15 degrees on the timing marks there. What are you at now, Josh?
We're at dead zero.
Zero.
5, 10, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, right there.
That's 15.
15. Could you reach back and give it a rev? We'll make sure the advance works. Cool.
Well, I mean, that's got to make a change on its own. 15 degrees of timing can't hurt, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it would ever be zero.
Goes to show you that because somebody knows how to put in a distributor doesn't mean they know how to time it, I guess. The cool thing about this car that I didn't know, I mean, even though it's almost a 90, is that it's still carbureted. So I think we should be able to make, hopefully, some simple adjustments to the carb. The gauge is pretty much telling us what we had kind of assumed already.
Yeah.
It's running 10s, which is pretty much big rich. I mean, I'm surprised that it's running as well as it is. The car came from sea level. We're up here at about 4,700 feet in Salt Lake City, so it makes sense, being a carbureted car, that we need to make some adjustments to that carburetor to make it work properly at this elevation. What we're gonna do is lean it out a bit until we get it about 14.7-ish is where we want to be. I mean, it makes all of 52 horsepower, but we got to be losing at least 8 or 10 here, so.
Did you give that a quick rev? Just back real quick.
So how many turns did you go out on that?
About 3-ish.
It's a lot.
We just gotta fine tune the spot because it's always gonna float a little bit.
There. That's looking pretty happy right there.
Yeah, I'm happy with that for a stock carburetor that we've never seen before. That's pretty good.
These two changes on its own should make a pretty big difference in drivability. Like I said, when you've only got 52 horsepower, every horsepower counts, man. Well, now we need to test drive it, and I think I've got the perfect test driver.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah. I bet I look cool in this car.
I bet you do.
No, you don't. You say you do, honey. Not I bet. Pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right away, I can tell that we've definitely made some improvements to the motor. It's quieter, it's smoother, and we might have picked up at least maybe 3 horsepower. Yeah, that's its one shortcoming, is the power delivery is not quite there. With 50 some odd horsepower, it's tough to be considered a performance car, but it was mainly for getting around your inner cities of Japan and looking cool in the process. Well, you look good in it.
Why, thank you.
I think it suits you well.
Because it's quirky and little?
Cute.
Oh, and totes adorbs, too. Mm-hmm. This was a fun drive, but there's only one problem that I have with it. Wait, ask me again if I want this after I've tried parking at places or going through a drive-thru. Okay? Ask me then, because this just changed everything.
Good. The PAL's all wrapped up and ready to go, and so is the interior on the 510. It's time to get that car back to the shop so we can button up the rest of the build. All right, man, got it back.
Nice.
Let's get all this upholstery out of the car and we'll take a look at it, see how it looks.
Okay.
So the next step is actually going to make this car a little bit more enjoyable on the street, and that's going to be sound deadening the inside of the car. Sound deadening is a rubber material that deadens the sound. And I think what makes sense is to do sound deadening on the trans tunnel, on both the rear floor pans. I want to put some inside the doors here.
Anywhere we'll get driveline and road noise.
Right. I think that should cut down on the sound a lot. We don't necessarily do this to every car. If it's a race car, it's just more weight. But for Chris's car, it's going to make it much more enjoyable to drive on the street. One relatively small piece inside the door panel will go a long way in reducing some of that noise. Really strong adhesive. Little special tool here for this job. It's a paint roller. I put a piece of aluminum on it. Just helps kind of get everything ironed down flat. In order to protect these fiberboard that doesn't do well with moisture, We're going to put a plastic barrier in between here to keep this as dry as possible. I mean, it's a little bit of a, obviously, time-consuming process, and these are the things that nobody ever sees, but these are the things that make a difference on a restoration 10 years down the road. Yeah! Looks awesome. And this will be the final piece of the interior. But yeah, man, I think it'll look good in there. Just real simple, silver.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's just the right size. I think we're about ready to head out to the alignment shop, man. So we're taking this car down to the alignment shop because it's got highly adjustable suspension on it. From the ride height to caster, camber, toe, everything needs to be set right in order to get this car to handle right at the ride height that we have it set at. What's up, Cole?
How you doing, man?
How are you? So this is the one I was talking about.
Beautiful.
Been working on this one for a couple of years, and it's now to the point where we're ready to get some heavy work here. Your magical wand over the suspension on the car.
The final touches, hopefully.
We built this car to handle, that's why the 510's cool, so there's a lot of suspension adjustments involved in it. So that's why I brought it to you guys, because I know that you know what you're dealing with here.
Absolutely, man. Well, you came to the right place.
When a lot of people think about alignments, they think about the car simply driving straight. That's not the only goal we have here. You want to have the proper amount of camber. Different toe settings will change the characteristics of the car itself. So we really want to run through all of those different settings that we have in order for him to get not only, you know, something that tracks straight is important, but also something that handles well.
I'm anxious to see what it weighs.
I'm thinking 2045.
Really? That light?
I think so. The next step is to get this car on the scales. That's going to tell us exactly how much weight is on each tire. Yeah, I'm thinking it's got to be somewhere close to 21, but we'll see.
Weight 2060.
Damn. That was good, man.
60, yeah.
So it'd be like 2,100 pounds with a hood.
Not a bad guess. Maybe I should spend some more time at the carnival. Now that they've got the cross weights adjusted, we're now going to adjust the camber and toe. I've welded in some brackets here, and this is what's going to give us our camber adjustment and toe adjustment in the rear. From the factory, they have nothing. So.
And can you adjust camber and toe independently?
As you can see, this is actually slotted on the control arm here. So it's slotted this way and it's slotted that way. So one will control a bit of toe, the other controls camber. Okay. We're gonna need some more camber up front, and because we don't want to mess with the fit we have at the top of the fender well, we have the ability to get camber by pushing out the bottom of that lower control arm. So let's try to do it there instead of from the top.
For sure. It will slightly tip in at the top, even with lengthening the lower arm, but very minusculely. If I can make a suggestion for caster, what we can do is measure from the toe link, or the drag link in this case, to the lower control arm, and just make sure that they're on the right plane. By changing caster, you're going to change the plane of the toe link, and that'll introduce bump steer.
With the handling being one of the key attributes of the 510, we want to make sure that this alignment is set up perfect. These guys are pros, they definitely know what they're doing.
This is going to hold a bar, which then two strings get put down the side of the car. And basically you set up what's called a parallelogram. And you know that the strings are running perfectly with the center line of the vehicle. Then you can measure from the strings to the wheels to determine the toe.
63.
Ooh, 2-0.
So the computer and the measurements tell us this alignment is set up perfectly, but there's only one way to know. Looks like it's tracking straight. And this has a steering box. It's got a little bit of slop, as they all do, but it's pretty straight up right now, so that looks good. We also want to make sure that it tracks straight, doesn't pull one way or the other. Looks like we're good there. And then left to right. Gives you an idea what the turn-in feels like, because front toe is directly related to that. So, I mean, without pushing it to the limits, it's really hard to know exactly what the setup's going to do, but as far as just around town driving, You know, you're looking for the steering wheel to be straight and the car to track straight, which we are doing a pretty good job of right now. Turn-in feels good. It was a little vague before, and it's a lot more responsive now. Getting the interior and sound bending in definitely made the inside of this car quite a bit quieter, that's for sure. Cole and the guys did a great job on suspension. So far, it's tracking straight and seems to handle really well. And the sound deadening seems to be doing its job nicely. I'm pretty happy with it, man. Can't wait to actually get to be able to drive this car at speed so I can really get a good idea of how the car feels.
How'd it feel?
Whew. Feels really good, man.
Sounds really good.
Overall, transmission feels good, brakes feel good. Now the suspension feels good, so we can finally get it to a point where we can start getting some mileage on it.
We'll have to have a nice little cruise day.
We've been at this restoration for a while now, and it feels great to be where we're at, considering where we started. It's been so long in the restoration process, so just to have it on the road is crazy.
Yeah, it's a milestone.
This car is now almost 50 years old.
Next year, huh?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Coming up close, so.
Grandpa. I like 510s a lot. Here we are in 1968 with a unibody car that they never had. Fully independent suspension, you know, it was light, it was reliable, it was cheap, and it was a great car.
We just got the hood latch in. So now it's time to get the hood on the car. We got to make sure that we have proper clearance with the shocks themselves, even the hardware. And then also the radiator's got me a little bit concerned. So we'll tape up the fenders, and we'll put some rags on here, and then we'll kind of test fit it, make sure that everything's gonna clear before we try to shut anything. And then I've got the grill off the car just in case you close the hood and there's no way to get it back open. These hood latches can be tricky because you've got to get the top part and the bottom part aligned just perfectly so that they do exactly what you want them to do, which is latch and unlatch. Easier said than done.
It's always the fun time, isn't it?
Yeah. We're here in our 1984 Nissan RS Turbo.
Get that nice little bit of lag and that cool open wastegate noise.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
This is kind of a special car to me because this is actually one of the first cars that we imported at JDM Legends. I did a lot of cleanup in the engine bay. We changed some things up, changed the intercooler piping. I built an exhaust for it. It's got some really cool old school electronics in it, but we didn't really want to change that aspect of it.
What's great about this car to me is that the whole thing just screams 80s, and I love that. I love everything about it, from the design, all the angles, all the cool little creature features. Like, to me, the 80s is kind of like where the modern car came from.
Even things like these HKS gauges being mounted over here, you know, right in front of the passenger side.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a weird place to mount it, but that's how they were doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're all period. And
very period. Yeah. They match perfectly with the cluster. I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't either.
You see this car pull up and there's no second guessing like what era it is. I mean, this is definitely a screaming 80s car, you know, from like the hot plate taillights to the real super angular body style.
Even the cool noises that
This motor, the FJ20, very, very capable motor in the era. It was one of the first twin cam turbocharged motors that Nissan ever offered. This one makes just under 300 horsepower at the wheels. But, you know, being an 80s car, it's a little bit laggy, but that's all part of the 80s technology of the era.
It kind of looks like a big car, and it doesn't really appear to be as sporty as it is, you know, for just a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's impressive to me that you can get that experience and the drive out of something like that. For me personally, I just love 80s cars, and this car does it for me for sure. Like, I would definitely love to own this exact car.
What else is cool, especially like during the 80s, is like if the car had any sort of significant performance upgrades in it, it was all labeled on the side of the car. That's why, like, on the side of this car, it's like RS Turbo.
Yeah, you're just screaming like, hey, you know, this is a special car.
I like this car because we love 80s cars, we love Skylines. All around, just a really, really cool, fun car. These cars are getting rare, man, and it's like they just got that something to them that's so special and so unique that people just, you know, of all their cars, they want to hold on to these, and I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I would.
Yeah.
I love these things.
We've made a ton of progress on this 510. The interior's finished, the suspension's dialed in, and the motor seems to be real happy. Next up, we've got a few exterior tweaks. Just got the hood latch in. So now it's time to get the hood on the car. These hood latches can be tricky because you've got to get the top part and the bottom part aligned just perfectly so that they do exactly what you want them to do, which is latch and unlatch. Easier said than done. I'll work on tapping all the holes, make sure they're all good to go, put the hardware on, and then I'll have you give me a hand getting the hood on. Okay. When you're restoring a car, every single threaded part of it has to be cleaned up and tapped before you can put any bolts through it. All right, just like that. Every single piece of steel hardware we have on the car has been re-zinc plated, just like it would have been from the factory. But in that process, can't pull some of these pins apart, so we got to make sure that everything is moving freely again before we put it in the car. Yeah, like that one's gonna cause a problem. You try to close the hood. So. When you have all your original bolts replated, you don't get to tell them this is your fender bolt, this is your hood bolt. You get to give them a big bag of it, and it comes back in a big bag. So you really got to know what goes where when it comes time to put it all back together again. The part that makes this hood latch requires a lot of attention to get it working exactly how we want it to. So it's a compromise between trying to get it to operate properly while keeping it aligned as perfect as possible. This is when your head is an extra hand, right? Well, that one's threading in like it should. And so is that one. That's how we tap them beforehand. You don't want to have a hood on your head, then find out your bolt's struggling to go in. Okay, you got yours snugged up. The critical area as far as aesthetics are concerned is going to be on this trim piece here on the front. There's a polished steel piece that goes on the front there, and that needs to align exactly with the part that goes around the fender there. So we know, just by looking at it, we know that we need to come back, so we're going to bring it back. Not touching. Hard time seeing. Yeah, it's crazy to see a hood on this car, man. It's been a long time since there's that hood on it.
I've become accustomed to no hood.
Now we need to add this last piece of trim to really finish the hood. It's gonna sit on there something like that. I've got to do a final polish on this trim. We'll get that installed. This hood trim is original to the car, so it's 50 years old now. So what we've got to do is first get all the dents out before we can get it polished up. With this being the original hood trim for the car, we definitely want to salvage what we've got, and it's one less part to track down. So in a perfect world, I would open up my parts catalog, pick out my trim piece, order it in the mail, and stick it on. But unfortunately, in our world, that just doesn't exist. So you got to find the best one you can find, work with what you've got, and do it the hard way. You know, when you take something that looks really ragged and you make it look like new again, there's definitely some satisfaction in that. Whether or not anybody else really sees, definitely be some satisfaction to see it all put together. From the factory, there's actually a bracket that's welded in here, and there's a metal rod that will just rub inside that. I didn't like that. I didn't want to throw a new paint job on the car and then have, you know, metal on metal rubbing there. So I've made this custom hood prop for it that doesn't scratch the paint away every time you open the hood. The hood prop's in, and now it's time to install the true centerpiece of this car. This is the original grille that came with the car, and just like everything else on this car, the grille itself is also 68 specific, so makes it one more thing that we can't just buy. We've got to take what we've got, spend a bunch of time on making it look new again. Every single thing here has been masked off and painted. Even on the outside here, these lines fall all the way through. And then this part here is actually stainless steel. So it's a process of knocking all of the dents out of it first, and then this, you simply just, polish these up as nicely as you can, and then, eventually you get it all right, and these lines all run straight through the grill, all the way through the bezels there. It's crazy. I mean, pretty crazy transformation. I had no idea that it would turn out quite this way, but once you get, all the black there, all the chrome is polished. I mean, that's what's so cool about these 70s cars is the shiny parts, the chrome, the trim, all that stuff. So pretty happy with it. The last thing we have to do here is the mirrors. These are the actual OEM Nissan fender mirrors for this car in Japan, for the Bluebird model. Really, nice looking bullet style mirror, but what's kind of nice about them is that these mount with spring bases in the bottom of them. So if, let's say, somebody doesn't see your mirror on the car and they end up bumping into it, this bottom part actually allows the mirror to flex left and right this way. So it's not going to dent your fender, it's not going to snap off. This is definitely a two-man job, and since Josh isn't here, my boy's actually here today because he's out of school, so I'm gonna have him hold this for me. Josh and I have been working together for quite a while, so I kind of know what to expect. But working with my 4th grade son, I'm not sure what to expect. So I'm gonna have to pay you.
Yeah, I would take 2 burritos every hour.
2 burritos every hour? Oh, man. Grab the base there. Grab that. Because if this fell down on the shiny paint, we'd both be in trouble, man. Gotta start saving up for a car, right?
I know that my dream car is a GTR.
Good answer.
But I don't know what my first car would probably be.
You'd probably take any model GTR, huh?
Yeah.
Almost there. Okay. Didn't fall off.
Yay. Ha.
I think we're almost there. Now that we can actually see. All right, man, let's finish up the rest.
So, am I done?
You're done.
Okay.
Your job is done. You did good. No matter what it costs me, Dax's help is always worth it.
That'll be 2 burritos.
You got it, man. I'm really happy with the way everything's looking on this car right now, but the key important factor is to really get some mileage on it to make sure it's going to be reliable. First shakedown, man, is always a little nerve-wracking when you've replaced every single nut and bolt on the entire car. But so far, so good. Just because it's good right now doesn't mean that in 5 miles something else might pop up. So we want to make sure that we've got all those gremlins worked out of the car before the customer shows up. No better place to test the car in one of our canyons right up the street. The steering feels really responsive, nice and straight. Car feels good, man. Suspension feels good. It's not the smoothest road, but it's soaking up the bumps pretty good. This is why you build 510s. It's not necessarily for the straight line speed, but what they do in the turns, Overall, the car feels great. The suspension setup is perfect. The motor's a beast. And I really think Chris is going to be happy with what we've built for him here. You ready yet?
I've been waiting. Do I need to close my eyes?
Yeah.
I'm Chris from Kansas City, and I'm here to pick up my '68 Datsun 510 today.
So yeah, man, it's been a long road.
Yeah. Oh my.
Oh my.
There it is,
Oh, it looks
man.
great. The last time I saw this car in person, I flew out here and it literally had just been media blasted. So it was just this gray shell, not even in primer, no interior, no engine in it, nothing. And then the paint color is amazing. It's nuts. My first reaction was just shock, right? Like this surreal moment. Like you feel like you're looking at somebody else's car. The badging on the front is just perfect.
Yeah, the whole front end, man. I mean, you track down the grill badge, you track down those
side markers.
1 year only side markers. Those come from Japan?
They came from Japan, yeah. I think there's, 100 parts from, I think we figured out 3 continents, you know?
At least.
The exhaust is simple, but then like the small little detail of just getting the angle cut on the exhaust so it matches up with the bumper. I mean, it's just a lot of small little details that...
I'm glad you appreciate the stupid stuff that I obsess over and spend too much time on. Seeing Chris's, initial reaction to seeing the car really drives home why we do what we do. For Chris, this is his pride and joy.
I mean, the interior is just great. The back seats match up to the fronts. What you guys did to this dash is unbelievable from where it started. Everything looks as good on the inside as it does on the outside.
And I'm glad that we really realized the significance of this one model year car and what made the 68 so cool and unique, which was also kind of what made it such a pain in the ass, though, right?
It's just kind of an amazing thing to see how they took all these different parts, but yet it looks cohesive as if it could have just rolled off the showroom floor that way.
So now we got a big motor in here. You wanna hear it?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that sounds great. That sounds different than I would have ever expected it to. You think of maybe Japanese 4-cylinders, and everyone has their idea of what that sounds like. This engine doesn't sound like that.
I mean, it's a full-on race motor. I mean,
that's cool. I don't think I've ever experienced a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that's anything like that. Oh, wow. I mean, it looks better in person than the pictures I've seen.
It's by far the most powerful, normally aspirated 4-cylinder motor I've ever experienced. And it just makes it so much fun to drive around town, so I can't wait for you to try it out, man. And as much as I like seeing Chris's reaction to the car sitting still, I really want to see what he thinks behind the wheel.
I want to take it out. Yeah.
I think we could probably do that. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Torquey, right?
Yeah. And it did hold, just like you said it would.
Yeah.
Holy. That's frightening.
Even though Chris is an auto enthusiast, I don't think he's really ever experienced something like this. Having that much power and that lightweight of a chassis is really something you have to experience.
No, I mean, the car sounds great. And it's actually pretty smooth. Pretty place to get to open it up, right?
Yeah, open it up,
roads. Oh, I'm too scared to open up too much. Oh, jeez. I am just so happy and grateful of the work that, Eric and Josh and Mauricio put into this vehicle. It's one thing for someone to work on your car, but it's another for someone to put love into your car, and I think that comes through. I mean, I just love that raspy sound to it. It's so cool.
Everybody really came together on this restoration. Chris is stoked, and I really couldn't be more proud of the final product. This car is truly a JDM legend.